All right, all right. Hello, hello. Welcome everyone back to, I believe it is the final happy hour show of 2025. We are Big K and Cabana, your happy hour crew, who has been here for how many years now? Long time now, sir.
A lot. It's more than 5.
Yes. And happy to have the community here. Happy to have DJ Cryptomatic doing the pre-game
I was supposed to send
show.
him a video for the Christmas thing. I forgot. DJ
Ah,
Cryptomatic, I'm sorry.
well, he hasn't raided over yet, but
Oh, well, when he raids over, I'll also tell him sorry. Shit. I get dumb of me. I forgot all
just
about
like
it.
that. Sorry. Yeah.
Shit, sorry. My beat, yo.
Let me
Anyway.
see here. Trying to fix one issue on the X. We're not live on the X, so
No.
it's giving me trouble here. Hold up. Technical difficulties solved on the fly. What is up, chat? How is everybody doing out there?
We build this airplane
Seeing
in
your
the air.
comments and whatnot. We are now live on the X. I am
Nice.
your IT guru
And host.
like that.
He does it
and
all
host.
here, folks.
I do it all. So yeah, happy hour, sir. I know we may have our guest longer than we have you for, but how have you been? And what are you drinking? Hello, chat. All the things.
Oh, I do have a beverage. Currently, I'm drinking a local energy drink from the area called Oexa or something. I don't know, but it's clear. But it is, in fact, a guava passion fruit flavored energy beverage.
Interesting.
Kazing.
So it's an upper, not a downer.
It is definitely an upper, not a downer. We are getting full rabbit Kirkowski here.
Nice. I'm going back to one of my favorite beverages of this season. We're going to do some more Bardstown Origin series from the old Bourbon Trail in Kentucky.
Oh, you know what? Just hold tight. I'm gonna get a Christmas favorite from like a local. Well, we got some freshly made coquito that I'm gonna get. It's a fantastic bev. Give me just. Hey, DJ Cryptomatic, thanks for the raid. Sorry I didn't get you a video for this Christmas special this year. My B yo. Give me a second.
So we're gonna wait on Big K to come back. We have a guest soon to arrive any second now. And we'll go through the chat real quick while Big K is procuring whatever he needs to. Lots of Spartan energy in the chat. I wonder why. Anybody have an idea out there? A lot of familiar faces from the old Telegram chat. What is going on, everybody? Sandy Beach, even the old schoolers in here. Mango Junkie, what's going on? As Big K said, DJ Cryptomatic did the raid over. So plug for his show while Big K is getting set. He's doing the 5th annual Hexmas Spectacular over on Twitch tomorrow. So be sure to check that out. Lots of he's been doing it pretty much every year for the past 5, pretty much since Hex has been like a legit thing, and always a good fun time to see a lot of your personalities. You will see me, you will not see Big K, but maybe he'll use an old video. Maybe he'll recycle one.
Yeah, recycle, man. Reuse, reduce, recycle. It's all that.
Yeah. All right. While we what do we have here?
Well, you bring up our guest. This is Coquito.
Is that space milk?
Oh,
it's not blue.
Kinda.
Right.
No, it is all of the deliciousness of Christmas in a drink. It's actually just creme de cocoa, coconut milk, evaporated milk, sweetened condensed milk, and a little bit of nutmeg, a little bit of cinnamon, a little clove, and then some rum, some Puerto Rican rum. So it's basically
it's like Puerto Rican eggnog.
Exactly, it's like a Puerto Rican eggnog, but no egg in it. Basically, that's kind of the idea. I mean, so it's like 4 cans of things that you get at this canned goods things. So it's like,
cheers to that, sir.
yes, cheers, and then rum. The rum's the important piece too. Gotta have it.
We have a guest.
We
Has
do.
arrived.
Oepa.
Hola. It is.
And
Yes, sir.
DJ Cryptomatic, you were asking what borracho means. That means drunk, and
Mhm.
that's what Cabana and Big K will be soon.
What? No, never happens on this show. We drink responsibly.
Coquito to get drunk. Let me tell you what, that's not.
Oh,
Sorry,
coquito is
some-
so good though. It's so good.
Oh yeah.
It's really
Oh, yeah.
delicious.
Oh yeah. Anyways, assumption, sir. It's good to have you here.
Yeah, it's awesome. I saw the there's a thing that says the stream is now live. That would have been good to know, because I did a 15-minute monologue before.
Just chatting.
Yeah, and I had seen people like in the comments like talking, so I was like, okay, clearly we're live, and so yeah, and then Big K and Cabana were like, nice. Did you think we were live? And I was like, wait, we're not.
You ready to start the show? What?
It was killer. It was killer stuff.
Okay.
You guys are gonna enjoy what we have to come.
Yes, it was just a little preview of
That's just warming up.
some things, yeah.
Yeah.
And not even the good stuff that this community is dying to hear about, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
But as we fill in, and as customary, I mean, it's the last happy hour show of the season, so we've been doing it lately. Do a little Richard Hart tweet trivia. I know for those of you who follow the timeline, it might be easier than those who haven't lately, Big K. So we'll see how far we get.
Yes,
And,
we will. We will see how far we get.
Guest panelists on the show, if you could just turn your comments or go to the private chat.
Mode.
No cheating. No cheating. And we will start. And chat, feel free to answer. We'll do a couple recent ones. This should get you out of the first round.
Hopefully.
4Tendies.
Yeah.
When replying to MetaMask's announcement of Bitcoin support, what did Richard Hart suggest they fix for more likes? A, Solana. B, ETH. C, Base. D, PulseChain.
D, PulseChain. He basically did the meme. Be a lot cooler if you did.
That's right. Big K. What term did Richard Hart use for platforms worsening user experience to drive up subscriptions/ads? A, upgrade. B, enshittification. C, optimization. D, monetization.
I'm gonna go with end shitification, because that seems like the other ones all seem
Pretty
chill.
standard.
Pretty standard. The other ones, that's the one of these is not like the other. I'm good at that game.
Correct answer is B, enshittification.
Yes.
Turning to tablets now, gentlemen. In a post about LCD sales website, what complaint did Richard Hart make? A, poor imagery. B, no shipping mentioned, pickup only. C, high prices. D, sold out stock. I might have been today or this morning, in a post about an LCD sales website, what complaint did Richard Hart make? A, poor images. B, no shipping mentioned, pickup only. C, high prices. D, sold out stock.
I'm gonna say B, because Motley said that he ordered one and they said come and pick it up, so I'm going with that.
Your personal contacts have served you well. The correct answer is B. No shipping. Yeah, pickup only. That's
SoCal.
Still funny to me. Yeah. Come out to SoCal. Franklin, what's up, man? Big K, in a follow-up post about the LCD website. What update did Richard Hartwin provide? A, prices increased. B, now online only. C, working on activating shipping. D, they're closing up shop.
The last one was just came back a little robot-y to me. What was
they're closing up shop was D.
I don't think they just opened. That doesn't.
A, prices increase. B, now online only. C, working on activating shipping. D, they're closing down.
I mean, since from the last question, I'm going to say working on activating shipping. Is that?
The correct answer is
No.
C.
He was right.
Working on activating shipping. All right, champs.
That or online only, but
we have a good fight here. Let's not make it a snoozer like Gunther Cena turned out to be. Anyway,
terrible.
4Tendies. What did Richard Hart criticize about increasing Ethereum block space? A, reduces ETH price due to cheaper fees. B, there's not enough. C, too secure. D, makes it faster. What did Richard Hartwin criticize?
What were the first two?
Yeah, what did he criticize about increasing Ethereum block space? A, it reduces the ETH price due to cheaper fees. B, there's not enough. C, too secure. Too secure. D, makes it faster.
I'm gonna say A.
You said A. Well, the positive energy. There is nobody in chat that said A, but you are correct.
There we go.
A is the correct answer.
Come on, you know Richard wants the price of ETH to go up.
Yeah.
Big K, what bridge alternative did Richard Hartwin mention for chains like Solana and Base? A, official bridges. B, wormhole. C, ProveX.com. D, layer 0. What alternative did Richard Hartwin mention for chains like Solana and Base? A, official bridges. B, wormhole. C, ProveX. D, layer 0.
I guess I'm going to say ProveX, that you can sacrifice and then get and from other chains and stuff too. And I'm going to go with the thing that he's slinging right now. This is ProveX.
Sandy Beach, correct again. As was Big K. ProveX it is. This is going on longer than I thought. Good job, boys. Let's see. 4Tendies, what did Richard Hart say most crypto complaints really mean? A, scams. B, bad tech. C, prices down. D, centralization.
Price is down.
He just went right in for it. I'll just recycle Sandy Beach's answer. The answer is C, prices down. Big K. What economic concept did Richard Hart call the ratchet effect in a post about price drops? A, supply shock. B, people accept increases but not decreases. C, inflation preference. D, prices always rise long term.
What? Can I get those answers again, sir?
Yeah, what economic concept did Richard Hart call the ratchet effect in a post about price drops? A, supply shock. B, people accept increases but not decreases. C, inflation preference. D, prices always rise long term.
I do not know. They're all similar-ish, and the first two again. Let me do those first
supply
two
shock. A.
Yeah.
People accept increases but not decreases.
But
B.
not decreases. I mean, I don't know. People accept increases but not decreases, but that's like the same thing as D. The prices only go up over time, and the other one was about inflation.
That's not really the same as D.
You're right. They prices people. They're not the same. I feel like you're leading.
The game is on the line, sir.
It really is. I'm gonna go with B. I'm gonna go with people accept price increases, but I feel like it's not. I feel like that's gonna be wrong.
Is that your final answer?
I feel like you're leading me to D with what you said, though.
I am not. I was just explaining the difference.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then fine. I'll just stick with B. I'll stick with what I believe.
Correct answer, Big K, is B.
What? Wow.
Congratulations.
Okay.
People, I mean, if you think about a ratchet,
Mhm.
you know, because
Yeah, people accept
just
it,
had to
you know.
think of the concept and then put that with the answer. All right. Well, I hope I have enough tweets to go through now. 4Tendies in a reply to Mark Cuban about AI creativity. What did Richard Hart say humans aren't required for? A, final editing. B, marketing. C, initial ideas. D, generating randomness for creation. In a reply to Mark
humans
Cuban,
aren't needed for?
in a reply to Cuban about AI creativity, what did Richard Hart say humans are not required for? Final editing, marketing, initial ideas, or generating randomness for creation?
Generating random ideas for creation, I guess.
And why did you pick that one?
Because because that's what AI does best, is just coming up with random stuff. But I would think that the humans need to go over the final editing and all the other marketing, like, you know, who's making the phone call? Like, AI is not making phone calls for people yet and stuff. So
See, Big K, that's how you reason out the answer.
Yeah, he did it. He did it faster than I did. That's nice.
The correct answer is
Very
D.
good job.
Big K, in a long post about cry-fagging, what did Richard
Mm-hmm.
Hart emphasize as never going anywhere? A, himself. B, price. C, stat sites. D, the community.
Ooh, this could be A or D. I'm gonna go with A because he was all like, "I'm here forever," you know. But like, you know, but the community isn't always. I think we're dealing with some back and
I
forth
mean,
about
parts of the community, but
Scout
yeah.
recently. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go with A. I'm gonna stick with A.
Sandy Beach. This is the first one you have gotten incorrect. Big K, the correct
What?
answer is A.
No.
Himself.
I'm gonna need some coquito for that.
Again, hope I have enough questions here. Let's see.
Ooh, that was a good.
4Tendies,
good
about Bitcoin wallet distribution. How much BTC do nearly 2,000 addresses hold? A, 10%. B, 83%. C, 36%. D, 61%. We're getting into the hard stuff now, boys.
I think I'm gonna go. I honestly don't. I have not looked at
Regarding Bitcoin wallet distribution. Nearly
the top how many wallets?
2,000, almost.
That's a lot.
Hold A, 10%. B, 83%. C, 36%. D, 61%.
I'm gonna say 36%, but it's a guess. It could be 10%. I don't know.
Once again, the chat's answer of D is incorrect. Wendys, you are correct. It is 36%. All right, Big K.
The champ is here.
There we go.
That's impressive. I would have been wrong. You would have gotten me off there.
In a post about confiscated Bitcoin, Big K, what total value did Richard Hart mention that's in government wallets? A, 50 billion. B, $1 billion. C, 25 billion. D, 10 billion. In a post about confiscated Bitcoin, what total value did Richard Hart mention in government wallets? A, 50 billion. B, $1 billion. C, 25 billion. D, 10 billion.
I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin in government wallets, right? Hundreds of thousands, probably 300.
Are you doing the maths
1,000.
right now?
I'm trying. I'm gonna do some quick maths. So I'm gonna go with at $100,000 Bitcoin or whatever the fuck it's at right now. If there was 500,000, you know, Bitcoin at least, then like I'm gonna go with, let's say 50 billion. Let's say 50 billion. Let's go with that.
Big K is locking in 50 billion. The correct answer is, and nobody has it in the chat either, C,
Oh,
25 billion.
that was my second guess.
Big K,
Good game, sir. Very
you've
nice
been
work.
rugged. The last time for you is now. All right. 410, that's right. You can't see me. Well, you can't see anybody because he's in the green room now. 410, as customary on this show, the winner gets to address the audience. 410, take it away.
What's up, guys? Founder of Sparta and soon PandaX. So make sure you get some Sparta for PandaX. But if you're buying any of the cores right now, you're probably going to do well in the long term. It's a sad state of capitulation in the air. And if you like to buy low and sell high, it's usually good to buy when people are freaking out and talking about leaving crypto forever. So, don't buy more than you can afford to lose. But yeah, I think buying down here when we actually have a community. There's people tuning in. I've never seen an ADA stream. I've never seen a Polkadot stream. So, our network is the force multiplier. And I think that when times get better, and I think they will get better, I think you're going to do well. So not financial advice, but yeah, take a look. And we'd love to have you in Sparta. We have a really good community over there of positive people. And yeah, we're just focused on making PulseChain better, being, less tribal and less toxic than, a lot of the other communities. So yeah, we'd be happy to have you.
Well said. Outstanding.
Well said.
Big K out of the green room. Man, you had to barely stuck my head through the door.
Sorry, I tend to cloud it up a little bit. My
All right.
It's all good.
Well, congrats once
Daddy.
again, attendees. I mean, we have.
I can't hear you, Cabana, if you're saying something. Did you mute yourself?
No,
I can hear Big K, but I can't hear you.
You can hear me?
Can you
Yeah,
hear me?
I can
Big
hear
K?
you. I can hear you, Cabana.
Okay.
So
Really? What
Yeah.
the heck? That's so
That's
random.
sweet. That's crazy.
Should I go out and come back in again?
Let me duck out
Or-
and come back in.
All right. Yeah. You do that because it worked in the green room the first time. So we will.
Well,
I think
I'll
it might
take
have
the
to be-
L, I'll just take
Yeah.
the L over here. Those I got further than I thought though. So,
No, you did quite well. I thought.
Yeah.
I
That was
I went
a
way down
well-fought
further
battle.
the list.
Well-fought battle.
Yeah.
And I, if I sat there and thought about it a while, I'd have been like 50. It seems like a lot.
Yeah.
I
we
might
good?
have come up with the right answer, but I was too quick to the draw.
Yep.
Nice. Better.
Cool. All right. Well,
All right, you ready for that monologue, dog? I think.
Yeah. I mean, we have a laundry list to go through, but I feel like the green room monologue covered a lot of
a huge portion of it.
what I'll say or ask about here first, which is things that we were talking about in the green room.
Mm-hmm.
The Bitcoin top. I mean, there's this debate all over crypto. Like, is the top in? Is the bottom in? Like, was the low 80K like the bottom? Like, are we in like a new era of cycles? Are there cycles anymore? Like, how are you reading this? Because it's rather confusing. But you did point out some similarities to last cycle with Bitcoin going up. A top being called by perhaps a Richard Hart, it wicking past that top. Same thing. We kind of like butted up against the top a few times. I think we may have gotten close to 125K, and then that was all she wrote. So what say you about where we are in the overall Bitcoin / crypto realm?
Well, I think like cycles do exist. 100% cycles exist. And I think the trap that people will fall for is that thinking that cycles are always going to be the same. Okay. So like there's cycles in everything and there's cycles in stocks, there's cycles in bonds. It's all, about debt and the business cycle and how all that works. And they're really all tied together. But to think that the 4-year cycle was going to remain 4 years forever is not logical for a lot of reasons. But if you think about it from just like a base reason that like, let's say that there's, 10 million people or a million people in Bitcoin, and they all learn about the 4-year cycle, then everybody would just play it perfectly. And that's just not possible. And you have to think about like how markets change over time, especially as things get bigger. There's diminishing gains and there's diminishing losses. And that's just like a fact of math, right? That, the bigger something gets, like it's not going to be able to do 100x anymore, like in a cycle. Like that's just not realistic. But that also means that it's not going to go down 80%. And so, what we're seeing now is a lot of people that the price of Bitcoin's like around 80K, and they're saying it's a bear market, get out. And like, I'm selling here. But for 99.9% of people, if you have like, Bitcoin in a taxable account, right? And you have to pay taxes on that. Does it make logical sense to sell it when, if you're measuring from the top, the low could be, 60 to 75K if it was the top, and it's it's a bear market. It's one of those things where it's like, if people are thinking about like, okay, I got to sell and then I have to pay 24% tax on this or more. I mean, some people pay up to 50%, right? Depending on where you live and your specific economic
Income,
situation.
short term, long term.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you can pay up to 50%, and especially with state tax and stuff, depending on where you live. So, does it make logical sense to sell there? Now there's people you can tax loss harvest and stuff like that. But I think a lot of it is just it's like, you have the whole influencer thing where everybody wants to be right. And so people are going to call stuff. But I just think that, like, when big money gets involved, when Wall Street gets involved, it becomes like harder to predict and stuff like that. And I think that, what I was saying like back in the green room was that if you really think about the whole picture of like what happened even since like 2008, right? In 2008, they turned on the money printers. Okay. Now, because of all the carnage of 2008 and everything like that, and they didn't go overboard with the money printers, we actually had relatively low inflation up until COVID. And so what we had was the stock market just looking beautiful, and cryptos did the same thing. Bitcoin, all the alts, we had multiple cycles. And the thing is like with altcoins is that, yeah, when money printing is going, these things can really, really run, and they can go so far away from their, like actual value, I guess you could call it, that that there's still going to be like significant bears in a macro uptrend. Okay. But what happened in 2020 was that they literally doubled the money supply. So they turned on the money printers way more than what they did, even in the 2008 financial crisis. And so what that led to was like absolute pandemonium, where the price of everything just went absolutely crazy. I mean, there was watches selling for what they should never have sold for. Same thing with cars. The Ferrari Richard bought, that car is down like 50% from what he paid for it. So it's not just crypto, but it was really everything. And if you think about it from a logical standpoint, if you're up 10,000x on something, right? Like in the case of Hex, and then the Fed comes around and says, hey, we're going to start raising interest rates. And then they get to the point where they're paying you 5% yield in cash on that. And then you can just wait for better times. It's no wonder that we crashed along with all the other altcoins, because, in my lifetime, we haven't seen that. I remember my dad telling me, maybe in the late 70s, early 80s, something like that, oh yeah, you could get 5% in the bank, and we hadn't seen that basically, our entire lives. And so now we're living through it. And that's why it does take a long time to be able to see stuff and become, like a really good investor, because there's so many different things that can happen. Stagflation, rampant inflation, deflation. And until you've seen it and stuff, sometimes it's hard to know, especially in like the pre-AI. I mean, AI is new, right? Now you can kind of ask AI, hey, what has stocks done in during stagflation? What are the safe havens? Before that, you had to really, really, really be like a student of markets to kind of understand what was going on. And so, I think a lot of people in altcoins are, we're kind of paying our dues in that and learning that, like, yeah, macro is the big daddy in the room, and you gotta bow down to big daddy when when things are contracting. It's like a vacuum sucking money out of the market. And that's what the Fed had been doing with QT for so long. So when I think about that, like, so going back to what we were saying about the whole, like, the double dip, it's like, if you really think about, like, from a sentiment standpoint, the top in altcoins was a year ago when Trump coin came out, Melania came out. They went up like hundreds of millions in seconds. That's also when we local topped on Hex and PulseX and everything like that. But if you really think about it, right, like, isn't it pretty crazy that we did a 10x in 77 days from the lows when the Fed was still taking a vacuum and sucking money, sucking liquidity out of the market? And we've seen in crypto how sensitive crypto is to liquidity. And that's, basically what happened in October is, when, like, some alts, like, literally, like, wicked to zero. And that was just a liquidity shock, right? So I believe that, that they have no option, right? And they're going to have to print, and they're going to have to print more and more and more. I mean, all fiat currencies will eventually go to zero. And I'm not saying that necessarily even happens in our lifetime, but there's going to be big they can't get away. If you ever watch the debt clock, there really is, it's all about, like, having, like, keeping the public having some faith in it, right? So that's what they do. They raise interest rates, and
the tariffs will pay for it. The tariffs.
Yeah. And well, and here's the other thing. So the tariffs, so people are still saying, like, oh, inflation's still high and everything like that, but we've had a full year of tariffs. Now those start to fall off, because if you think about, like, the way tariffs work is it's a one-time price adjustment. Okay. So let's say you're importing, like little doodle pads or something, right? And they're $1, and then there's a 25-cent tariff, right? Okay. So now they're $1.25. The way inflation works is that it's a constant going up, right? So it's like, you make $1 this year, now you make $1.25, now you make $1.30. That's inflation. So a one-time price increase, saying that there's now a 25-cent tariff on doodle pads, it doesn't affect the next year. So then inflation goes to zero from that measure. So we've had a year of tariffs, and so all that stuff's going to start coming to roost. And then if you look at the job markets, with revisions that they haven't revised yet, but it's probably going to be negative. And I mean, Jay Powell has basically said in recent meetings that he's like, we're not going to let it happen. We will cut all the way to zero, like, if we have to save the economy and everything like that. So, when you think about it, look, everybody wanted to be rich in 2025. Like, that's the reality. And I think that we're seeing a lot of capitulation, not just in PulseChain, but across cryptocurrency, because of that idea that everybody had with the 4-year cycle, and this is how it's always been and everything like that. So that's what's out there, is a spirit of capitulation. And it infects people. But if you look from, like, a different lens, you have a founder that's still building stuff, that's still, like, staying active, like, keeping up with things, thinking about marketing, at least thinking about stuff that's outside the box, right? You can say, hey, the tablets are crap. First of all, it's not that much money, but it does get people talking. And he is thinking of stuff, whereas, like, other people are not thinking about anything. They're just hiding in their holes, or whatever. So when I think about PulseChain, I see a layer one that is very focused on, not giving too much control away from the users, right? I think that eventually we'll have, some more, like, privacy options. ProveX sounds very interesting. And the number one thing being, we have a community. Like, I've been in crypto a long time. I've never met anybody who used Polkadot. I don't know anybody who uses ADA. ADA's 35 times, last I had checked, it was like 35 times more higher in price than PulseChain. So really, we just have to get out there and get people using stuff. And we have a lot of dApps that work, and we have, we do have a strong community. Like, we might be fragmented, and and that's one of the coolest things about PulseChain. And I've always said, like, as long as you're not a scam, I'm not going to, like, trash your project, right? Because people trading on chain, whether they're buying Peacock, whether they're buying like P Tiger or Sparta or PTGC, you know, that is all volume, that is all TVL for our chain, and that's a good thing. So as long as you're not having people like actually, you know, scam and stuff like that, then it's kind of like a net positive. Increases TVL, increases volume, with burns Pulse, which burns PulseX. Like all of that is good, and you can kind of, you know, see like, hey, is this community my vibe? You know, and there's been communities on PulseChain that have toxic vibes. It's like, yo, I want nothing to do with that. But there are communities that have positive vibes and stuff like that. But I think that, you know, just having like a wrecked mindset and all this stuff, like we've been low in Hex and Pulse and all this kind of stuff before, but you know, it's about like attracting people, you know, and it's like, yeah, you can come into PulseChain and you know, farm stables, or you know, you can take no risk at all if that's what you want. So there's just, I feel like there's a lot of options, and I think things are only going to get better over the long term. You know, the long term model I think is very, very viable, and this is without any treasury at all. Like most layer ones have no treasury. ADA has no treasury at all, right? Richard, I don't think you know, Charles Hoskinson like has bought, you know, millions of dollars worth of his coins this month. Richard has, right? So we have that on top of everything else, on top of having a community. So yeah, like I get it. Prices are down and it sucks. And yeah, it's absolutely terrible. And I'm not saying that Richard's made 100% good decisions, but neither have we. We're all humans, and we've all bought the top on assets. We've all made terrible decisions before in crypto. I mean, that's, you know, it's kind of part of your whole experience as a human, is you're going to make some great decisions, you're going to make some poor decisions. But to me is that we still have a community. We have people tuning into live streams. So we have stuff that other communities don't have. And I believe that crypto, when money printing becomes the norm again, and you know, the the vacuum turned off, so the next thing is money printing. I think if people are gonna have a long-term enough mindset, that, you know, it'll be good. Because I mean, Richard buying the top at $32 on Bitcoin, you know, when it dropped down, I mean, he could have given up and everything like that. Oh, this is a scam, because at that time it was so small, right? Like nobody was talking about it at all. He could easily have been like, oh, I was scammed, you know,
like a 90+% drawdown, and like,
yeah,
yep,
yeah,
call it quits.
Yeah, and that's basically part of crypto. I mean, basically where we're at right now. Last year we were roughly the same price and did 10x in 77 days, guys. And that was nothing special that happened on PulseChain. That was just the overall market was, you know, getting frothy like that. And at the top is when like Trump coin launched and everything like that. So it's like, to me, I see like, yeah, there's the quite a good possibility that that's going to happen in the future. And if I think about like a worst case scenario, that, oh, the 4-year cycle guys are right, all this kind of stuff, well, then, you know, Bitcoin will be breaking down here not too long, and you know, from here it will probably find support not too much lower than it is right now.
I would think like 70K ish.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
if it holds true, you know, you go back and test the old cycle high kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. That would make a lot of sense for people to buy in from like 69K to, you know, 75K. So, you know, if that's the worst case scenario, and then we're starting the next cycle and the macro lens is looking, you know, a lot better, then, you know, so be it. But I think, like, you know, selling when everything is so far oversold and stuff like that, that's capitulation. That's just you know, a mentality. Like Richard had said, I don't sell for a loss. Is that like a weird concept, you know?
Big K, want to get your take on this as you pour the Puerto Rican space milk.
Yeah, stuff's good.
I'd love to try it. You know, when he was talking about community, I mean, you've been around here, this industry, for a long time, basically, you know, since its infancy. I'm guessing you agree with the pros of the PulseChain community that he was kind of pointing at, versus an ADA, versus a lot of other things out there that, you know, it was funny when he was mentioning like Polkadot. I remember like when that was all the rage for like 5 minutes. And but really, did anybody ever really use it?
No, I made money off that network, but I
did. Same.
I never once actually owned, like, took the assets off of a centralized exchange, and I very rarely do that. But like in that case, I didn't even take the time to download a wallet and use anything on it actually. So whatever, take that for what it's worth, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I agree with that. My sentiment on it fully. I agree that the thing that we have more than anybody is community. Like the idea that I'm still doing a show about a particular ecosystem at all this long into its tenure is pretty impressive on its own right. I say that pretty regularly. There's not very much else out there. I mean, there's a couple weird backwaters that do have communities that are they haven't been willing to pivot in the same way that Pulse and that this community is willing to do. So I mean, like, I'm excited to see what ProveX has to offer. I'm excited to see ideally have some people build on top of it. I think that, you know, some of those ideas that we've been talking about recently are real good ideas, because that is what we do have is a pretty active, fervent community that still uses this chain pretty regularly. We wouldn't be in the top picks on Deck Screener if like people weren't actually using this thing. We'd be like, you know, scroll down it and see how many chains on Deck Screener there are that are just like, that are completely dead. And then people will talk about them, and you'll hear influencers like bring those up as if they're viable solutions, you know, like regularly, you know. So like, it's not, you got to be wary of what you're looking at. And I think that what we do have is a fantastic community, you know. So besides that, there's working products here that all that hold themselves to some pretty high values of crypto. You know, there's not as many things out there that you can say are as decentralized and as redundant as we have products on Pulse, you know. So that is also, there's some really good bases there, you know. Buying things at cycle lows is always a great call, even if you're, you know, even if what you're buying isn't that great. I mean, very little of this, you know, it's like, this would be a silly place to just be dumping it all. That's for sure, you know.
And some wallets are, as evident today.
I mean, that's that's the way it goes, you know. And yeah, like, I mean, but you have to ask yourself,
I understand it too.
Yeah, I understand.
Like part of me was totally fooled by the 4-year cycle idea. Like part of me for most of this year was like, you sell whatever it is at Christmas and go home, you know. And like, but this definitely hasn't felt the same. I mean, as far as buying goes, you definitely have not felt like there's been an exuberance of retail buying whatsoever, you know.
None.
Like it's
none. And that like tells me already, like, so people say, oh, so this time is different. It's like, yeah, I've been saying this, and you know this, I've been saying this for like a long time, that like this cycle is different for sure. You know, I didn't necessarily think that we're going to have an alt kind of local top in 2024, and then that, you know, we weren't going to have another leg up in 2025. But I think like in the beginning of last year, I started saying, or at the beginning of this year, sorry, I started saying that like I don't see a top in 2025. Because it like after the top in 2024, I was like, I just don't see us going all the way back up like the next year. I think it's going to be later. And, you know, now it seems obvious that, you know, like if you look at the business cycle and everything like that, that we're going to top much later. But yeah, there was no Bitcoin banana zone. There's none of that. There's no euphoria. It just, a lot of it is just like systemic institutional buying on a lot of stuff, you know.
Yeah,
and
those guys aren't gonna exuberantly buy tops, you know. They're gonna smartly play these wash cycles back and forth to get people to wash out to try and get better prices. I mean, they're still buying. I mean, like institutional money that's been buying up. I mean, you see these names that are buying this shit in large droves, you know. So like, you know that they wouldn't be doing it if there was fucking zero reason to do it. If they're just playing the wave of hype that, you know, that's not what they're doing, you know?
And they're literally talking about tokenizing everything. Do you realize like what happens when they tokenize everything on the blockchain? I mean, you know, if you think about it, like you'll see after hours trading, like, so, you know, after hours trading for most retail is absolutely a horrible experience. But if you can do it with liquidity on a blockchain, that's crazy. You get some information comes out at 2 a.m. and you can just boom, go to your computer and just like instantly, get some liquidity or, take some liquidity like that. That's pretty amazing. And I think that they all know that. And yeah, like you see it coming, like Larry Fink's talking about it and everything like that. And I mean, we've been seeing more and more and more. Oh, this is being approved. That's being approved for stocks. And I think there's already like a few trading on base and stuff like that. But it's going to be a huge thing. And when that
even
happens,
some exchanges like are trying to move
yeah,
to like 23-hour trading like soon. So.
Yeah. So like to me, it's kind of a no brainer. And yeah, I mean, I just think that we have to wait for. Look, if you think about it from the perspective of like watches and cars, went up to 3x to 5x to 10. There was watches that went up literally 10x. Okay, like that's what kind of happened when like money printing is rampant. But even just like regular money printing it trickles down to everything. It will take all of this stuff up.
I'm just pulling up this comment because of the handle Puerto Rican Space Milk. So yes,
oh, yeah, that's good.
Our community is definitely stubborn, but
we are.
Oh yeah.
Moving on, I guess Big K, you had mentioned like some good ideas around this community, and last time I believe you were on, Alex was on. You were on briefly, but he brought up the concept of like a PulseChain foundation. Just curious if you've had any more thoughts as that's marinated, or if Wendys has thoughts on foundations, if they're even worth it, and is it a way of bringing legitimacy to a blockchain? Either one.
I mean, yeah. I think it's a good thing. I think it's not a bad thing. I mean, I don't think that, again, there's all this like layers of like, can it be a bad thing? Can the wrong people, like we had mentioned, if the right people are involved, like when the wrong people are involved, they're very motivated
like
to be involved.
One of the devs
they're very motivated to be involved because they have some sort of financial underpinnings, some sort of control underpinnings. Whereas when the right people are involved, first of all, they're not exactly excited. It's like Alex. He's like, yeah, I see that we need it, but like, I'm not too thrilled to be and you're like, no, but you are actually somebody who should for sure be a part of it. And he's like, no,
you were one of the ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. And that's what you need is people who are like willing to do it, but like also realistic that it's like gonna take their time, and to do it properly is not gonna net them some financial like you come up from it. Besides building what is basically social credit for PulseChain, it's not like we're gonna it's not gonna start out with some massive war chest to like go and offer tons of grants or anything necessarily. So there's like this work that there's like actual legwork that has to be done to do it. And if you want it done right, the people that need to be involved are the people that like each other the least. Like you really need like everybody that is involved to have incredibly different perspectives and yet still find value in being a part of it, even though it's more of a pain in their ass to be a part of it than it is not. Like all those things are all like a volatile recipe, that if done right can really push us forward. And like if everybody's then you have these leaders of these different whatever PulseChain factions that are willing to work together even after they get whatever their differences are out. I think that's all good and could drive us in the right direction. There's still tons of questions about it. I've passed around some information on it, and it's made me really think, like, do you have somebody, do you have a buy-in to do it, but then there's problems with that, and there's all these different layers of like what works and what doesn't work, like with organizations like this, that I'm not exactly like I'm the best guy to figure it all out, but like I'm willing to work it through and figure it out, because I do think there is value in it.
Yeah, and that's why like I had seen that framework. Maybe I passed it to you, I don't know, but whatever the case, like you run it through an AI, and perhaps one with more foul language than another, and it comes back with legitimate questions. It's like, oh well, things that you just brought up. It's like, okay, well, it would be on one hand a good idea for people to have vested interest in something that they commit to, but then it's just like, okay, well, what does the buy-in look like optically, and how does the rest of the community take that? Then it's like, oh, is this a pay to play kind of thing? And it's like, why is your voice count more than mine just because you have bigger bags and stuff like that? So a lot to
There's no getting
consider.
around that, though. There really is no getting around it. I think,
Yeah.
like, from a foundation standpoint, it's not, I'll take the other side. I don't really think it's necessary for PulseChain, because the reason that, like, a lot of the reasons for, like, the ETH Foundation and stuff like that is, like, developing and stuff like that. Whereas, like, we kind of get the benefits of them developing stuff for free, like, like Richard has obviously, like, the base cost that he has to pay the devs, but, like, they don't have to think about necessarily, like, new and, like, how to do this, how to improve this, because they'll just roll down the, Ethereum benefits and get tweaks. And anytime you get, like, a lot of people working together, it can get really, really difficult. And
kind of like what Big K was saying.
yeah. And just working with devs in general is, like, one of the most, like, thankless, like, frustrating jobs, like, ever.
You talk like you have experience with such things. We can get to that later.
Unfortunately, I do. Like, even with Legion, it was a nightmare. We were trying to build some stuff, and the cost was absolutely insane. I mean, talking like 6 figures and stuff. And yeah, and a lot of times you're like, I don't see like a way to even make any money on this. So it's just like a labor of love. And then, yeah, it can just be a nightmare, honestly. I think that, like, what's important is, like, building infrastructure stuff that is needed, and then building a way for it to be monetized, but not ideally not like, that the founders get all of the benefit, but also, like, if you look at something like Stargate protocol, right? Like, Stargate, like, links essentially, like, a bunch of blockchains together, and people can, like, basically, like, put their liquidity up for these bridge swaps and stuff like that, and they get an APY, right? And so you don't even for some things you don't even necessarily need a token, and you can just have built-in fees, and users can supply liquidity, get fees, and like, so, something like Aave, right? It's like, you can supply your coins, and there doesn't need to be an Aave token. The platform can just make money via the spread on the APYs, right? And so they can just say, hey, we're making 1% to 2% off literally everybody's money. And then there's kind of like, no, you don't have to worry about, like, oh, there being a token and all this kind of stuff. So I think some things in crypto should, like, look away from adding a token and just look to adding just a way for people to get yield on whatever tokens they have. And I think that that's, like, potentially, like, a really good use case for DeFi, rather than just, like, attaching a token to everything. The tokens can make sense, and especially if you have, like, some, like, really bullish tokenomics and stuff like that. But I don't think everything needs to have one. And yeah, and a lot of times you'll get more work done with, like, a smaller team than, like, if you were, like, a foundation of, like, 25 members. And I said, hey, Big K, I'm thinking about doing this. And then he's like, I don't know about that. And it's like, especially if you're taking other people's money, like, if Big K is putting money in and Cabana's putting money in and I'm putting money in, then we all have a say, right? And getting the more people that you have to get to agree, it's, it's a nightmare. And so you might feel really, really strongly about something, and I feel really, really strongly about something else. And, that's why Richard's one person. I think, like, a lot of teams doing stuff, like, they have one person that is, like, at the end of the day, it's like calling the shots and saying, like, this is what we're doing. This could be the right decision, it could be the wrong decision, but we're going to make the decision, rather than, like, tear ourselves to pieces with the minute details.
Fair enough.
That applies to a lot of things, not just blockchain, but business. Just
Yeah,
in general.
it's true. Yeah. It's
Smaller is
just
better than I found, and
Yeah.
I've
Mhm.
I've always kept things that way just because of that.
No, I agree.
There's
with
greater
that.
opportunity in expanding, but at the
Yeah,
same
there is.
time, it's
It
more
has to
headaches.
be done right, and
Yeah.
and yeah,
No, and I
finding
wasn't
that.
talking about having this foundation build shit. I was talking about them just basically just because like, I don't want to do any of that. I don't want to be.
Yeah.
I don't want to be working with most of y'all at all. If anything, like building social credit was the thing that I think that we lack in the broader crypto scene. Is if we had more, you know, a better standing with people in person and in like just in general and like how we come across, I think that there's a lot of inroads to be made there.
It's actually a great strength of this community.
It's a great strength. I found that I've changed a lot of minds and hearts about the community through in-person events that we've had at satellite events around other conferences, and I think that that's kind of stuff, whatever that is,
I 100%
social
agree
outreach stuff. That stuff I think because like it doesn't require building or changing a product. It doesn't require anything. It requires a little bit of event management and a little bit of and having a good time. I think that people mostly are super stiff, like even though crypto is crypto, it's still a stuffy business-based thing, and if you're providing an enjoyable atmosphere, even that's something that people are like, damn, whoa, what's going on here, this is fun,
just like you and Buck were talking about Vegas, like coming up this year.
Vegas,
that'd be a prime opportunity.
Yeah, we've done events at the Bitcoin conferences. I've done something here in Puerto Rico, and like for the blockchain week thing, and like all that stuff is, we've brought big name crypto people have shown up and been like, damn, this is awesome. You guys are way cooler than I expected. And I'm like, yeah, we get a bad rap, but but come and enjoy, So like, I think that kind of stuff is like super low impact, like isn't and like it's the kind of things where it's like a foundation helps, to have some sort of forward facing, name or space to it, branding to it. But like, I think that that's the kind of stuff where anybody that wants to head something like that and can do it. You know what I mean? Like it's way less like, oh, we've got to get everyone's approval for me to throw a cool party somewhere. Like
right. Yeah, that stuff's relatively easy, and I 100% agree because I met at my sister and brother-in-law's wedding. Like he's into crypto, and he like works for another layer one, and so I met a bunch of crypto guys, and they're like, oh, you're in crypto? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, what crypto you in? I'm like, oh, Hex and PulseChain. And you should have seen their faces like at first, but then once you're talking to them, they're like, oh, you're not crazy, like, yeah. But they they see, because it's always the loudest people, right? The loudest people in a community. And you can think about like a sports team, whereas like if you see like a bunch of crazy like Chargers fans going absolutely, you're like, all of a sudden you're just like, wow, these Charger people are absolutely, but that's not the entire spread of Chargers fans. You just of course are going to see the loudest guy, right? So it's
1,000%,
unfortunately.
And we have, and our loudest 10% are basically fucking whack jobs. So like that it puts us at a severe disadvantage on the internet. We actually don't market as well on the internet as we think we do. Like the more we show up in massive droves, when you're like, I dare you to add us, I fucking dare you, and then like then you get just this litany of us coming out the woodworks and spouting shit. Sometimes you see people's replies to shit, and I get it because I've been here from the beginning. So like I get this insane train of thought, but like whoever the fuck is reading that is not understanding where you're coming from or what the pain of the last like your talking points are fucking way over these people's heads, and we sound crazy,
Yeah,
so,
100%.
Like, so like until you get like, that's how I've made the most inroads and the most onboards and all the rest is like in person, and through actual good connections with people and people seeing that I'm not a total whack job, that's for sure. That's what I think is like where a foundation could help. I don't think of a foundation as something that's that's by any means developing shit. Like I said, if we had some massive bankroll, sure, fine, vote on some grants or some shit. But like I don't even think, like I think that it's way better for us to just exist as like some sort of public outreach.
Just
hey,
rename
we show
it
up
like the PulseChain Party Planning Committee.
I love that. That
makes total sense, and it's and that's inexpensive to do. So
yeah. Yeah, you can put people at every single massive crypto conference for this year for six figures, and like that's not that
easily,
hard to do.
and a lot of it, like even you could theoretically do it for free by just saying like, oh, there's this event. You make the like the PulseChain, party committee makes the Telegram room for it, and then
Yep.
like even 5-10 people linking up, and they walk around in a group. Boom! Now you're onboarding. Now you're
Yep.
you're networking and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, and if we
you
just
could do it
had
for free
marketing
theoretically.
materials and easy
Yeah.
ways for people to do that kind of stuff all set up and ready, and like, oh, hey, we're going to do this here. We hit up our friends that are soon to be able to deliver some tablets to you and have some tablets to be able to hand out and stuff to, like all that's
Mm-hmm.
really easy. We're like, I see the infrastructure getting built, here, like we can mobilize that. And like, I think that, if we have, like I said, that's the thing about like what's to come is that having something to look forward to with ProveX really gives us like some sort of reason to be at these events, and that's important too. It's like I did it before based on the movie or whatever, but like it was it's already hard enough to weasel your way into Bitcoin events, so having something else to talk about is, hey, this could be useful on all networks. You could use
Yeah,
it.
especially
Mm-hmm.
something that
Bitcoin is
touches multiple chains. Yeah, that's like
exactly.
you're in. Yeah. Well, speaking of the newest X on the block, and it's not Panda just yet. We're going to do Prove. 4Tendies have not gotten your take on ProveX. We also talked about things that don't need a token. So
Mm-hmm.
curious on one, do you think a token goes with ProveX? And pretty much more importantly, overall, your overall take on the idea of ProveX, RH, heading that up, there being a token attached to it and a sacrifice for it.
It sounds interesting. I have to see it like in like how it actually like works and stuff. But I think like the gist is something like it's almost like an OTC kind of platform where you can just kind of like from your bank or another token, kind of just like two people agree on this is what we're swapping kind of thing. So do I think it needs a token? No, it doesn't. But there might have been a reason for him to want to do one, right? Like he could have been saying like, okay, like I think we need a capitulation event. This could raise more money, like whatever his logic was, like this coin's going to be lighter, less people are going to sacrifice for it. Maybe you can have a better
Far lighter
chart
right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of those things, but like did it need one? I don't think so. But the cool thing about like Richard is that he'll take these like obscure things that could actually really improve quality of life for people and all this stuff, and like add it to PulseChain and get people using it, right? Because before Richard, like Uniswap was a thing, but like nobody was using it, and that was like one of the greatest inventions in blockchain was the DEX, right? So Richard's ability to see like, hey, this technology is good and it could really benefit people is pretty cool. And yeah, it could be another way to bring money on chain that's like more stealthy than the way he currently does it. So yeah, it seems like it's a great idea and stuff like that. The token could do well, but was it needed? I don't necessarily think a token was needed, but even the PulseX token, I don't think it was 100% needed. It could have burned Pulse or Hex, but that's one way to raise a lot of money is to attach a token to something. So
yeah, I mean, I think one for the community that has a fast sacrifice that comes out early. The token comes out even before the protocol, and then like it just sits in the background and does its thing. Like the reason why I think it's actually kind of important to have a protocol or a token on this one is because I don't think that you're going to have the builders that you want to build on top of it if you don't have them incentivized. So like I think that like it's going to be a neat protocol that's going to need some development on top of it. People are going to have to put each use case, what a Stripe or PayPal or whatever, each of those is going to have to be in some sort of setup that somebody's going to have to design to work on a front end to make sure that that track. And like I doubt that Richard's gonna build every single one of these use cases into it on day one. So like
Yeah,
there's gonna be a lot
sure.
of opportunity for people to build things on top that work, whether it be, I mean, even locally, I was already like, man, if we could do an ATH to crypto here in Puerto Rico, it would be an interesting, pool to build,
Right.
but like, so there's a lot of opportunities for that for people to do, and they're way more incentivized if they're early adopters to something that's already up 10x and has the chance to go more,
Yeah, I agree with that. I also say that, like, when there's a token, it kind of is like a form of advertisement for the protocol. Like, if you think about the fact that everybody got like a Uniswap airdrop, it kind of like was like, hey, this thing's out there, So I do see that point as well, that it can get people talking. And if Richard just made this thing and it worked right now, how many people would use it versus if a bunch of people invest in it, how many people will try it out? Maybe a lot higher. So I do get that too.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that if he's trying to make any sort of like, hey, like you said, capitulation event, and also have some sort of secondary reason of like, throwing the community a bone here, for those who are actually believers, is a pretty good opportunity for it. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a pretty tough sell to people who aren't like fully like, I believe there's a turnaround here.
Yeah.
At least it has been for me.
No, yeah, for sure.
Hey.
I've talked to some folks.
Yeah. I think I've mentioned this on the show before. It's like, some of the first texts I got were from guys who've been in Hex / PulseChain, sacked for PulseChain, PulseX for years, and they were infuriated that no cores are being accepted, and by design. I understand it. But and you can see that from the sack totals. No complaints if this one is actually different this time. It's certainly going that way so far. Curious.
Hey, he's trying something different, so we'll see.
Yes.
I mean, and I feel like it's actually like it's different, but it's a lot of the same recipe. Like
it is a lot of the same. Yeah.
People hated him when Hex came out. Hatred, straight vitriol, and like that's where we're at too. Mostly on. Yeah. I have somebody who texted me today, a friend of mine, who is like, "Oh, happy to wake up to new all-time lows. Fantastic." And you're just like, yeah, "Hear you, buddy. Hear you. Yep, that's real." It's like and he's one of the strongest believers, still here, but now it's turned almost super salt. And there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that.
It's understandable. Yeah. I mean, like people want, it is like a coping mechanism to like bitch and complain, and
so it feels good sometimes. I'm sure
it does. And Richard's lying to himself if he's never cry fagged, because we know he has. But it is what it is, right? And I
he's like, hey, don't come at founders, and then he's like, hey, Vitalik, yo, this shit sucks.
Yeah, exactly. And my thing is like, I remember when like Hex dropped like 90%, when it launched, and I was like, oh, fuck this shit, and then it went up 10,000x from there. So it's like, but that's what I'm saying is like, that's the kind of thing is like, you can sell when something's like completely oversold, or you can just be like, look, there's going to be a better macro time to get out. And whether it's at the moon that I wanted, or things are just like overall overbought, and then I can sell a little bit there. Like some people don't realize that like they're selling their bag here, and if they just wait for the next time for it to be like overbought, they could sell probably 10% of their bag, potentially, and it's the same amount that they're selling their whole bag for here. But you can't talk to somebody that's in capitulation, because capitulation is not necessarily like a logical thing. It's sometimes just like
they've got all sorts
completely
of
like
pressures.
It's a fear driven event. I've heard guys saying that like they're talking to their wife. Their wife is like, hey, get us the fuck out. And it is what it is. Like
you put our house money into this. No,
exactly. Yeah, that has happened. And so like it does make sense from that standpoint. But if you have a job, if you have money elsewhere and everything like that, think about buying the blood instead of just walking away at this point. Because it's like, I look at a lot of alts, and a lot of alts are hurting. And I think like if you just think about like in where we were last year, we're 10x higher than we are right now. And like a lot of alts were doing relatively decent at that point. They weren't doing amazing, There was some that were doing really well, but like not all alts were doing amazing, but all alts were doing better than they are like right now. And so my perspective is that you sell when there's a time where it's like, oh, okay, like everything's doing good, or even if you're just DCAing out, then then you're doing better than if you're like capitulating at fear, because you're never going to get that money back. You go in the S&P 500 and you're going to wait your entire life and you're still never going to get back to where Hex was last year. Okay, so like it just doesn't make logical sense to dump your bag there.
I agree 1,000%, but I gotta dump my bag here and go because I just got a message that says that it's time for me.
You got the sign.
Adios.
But this has been super fun, and I wanted to do it longer, but and I know there's more to come, and I'll be listening in to the rest of what you have to say, Wendys. So thank
Perhaps
you so much.
Some things that you might be interested in, Big K.
Yeah, I'm super interested. So, so speak out, carry on, gentlemen. If
we'll do.
If I get a chance, I'll come back, but no promises.
Right, okay.
Rock on.
Sounds good. Peace.
I'll keep an eye on the green room.
It just cut out your. Let me leave and come back.
That's what happens.
Whatever you did, it just like cut the audio.
Whenever
see.
I do that,
I feel like
Tendies loses his audio
stuff.
So go back out, come back in. Big K about the dump ProveX. I don't think so. Can't even. It's not dumpable. That's the good thing about the that RH ecosystem coin. It is not dumpable.
I'm back
with audio.
Yes,
from me. Yeah,
yes,
it's something about someone going in and coming out of the the stream. That's all that is. Just weird. I've never experienced that before, but anyway, yeah, we still have just a couple things to talk about that some people may or may not, I say may not jokingly, be interested in here. Before we get in to like a deeper dive, just some quick thoughts on some topics. Your take on the last Richard Hart video that we got. Like it seemed, and we had Alex on, I guess, less than 2 weeks ago, and he said he went back over it and kind of like watched old RH streams versus this new video and noticed, like, just a change in demeanor, I guess you could call it. That was his main observation. I agree with it. What was your just general takes?
in what sense? Like what did he like? What was his like?
Kind of like, granted, there was nobody that he was up against, but he was just maybe like more softer spoken. I don't know the way to say it, but it was more like the RH in the suit in like Malta on stage.
Yeah.
Kind of just like talking his product rather than going after people. And even after the fact, like he deleted parts of the stream, and there was an acknowledgement there of like, okay, maybe we'll just tone this back and focus on product. But
yeah, I think that like I think he realizes the whole like like the Bible says, pride comes before the fall, and he got super prideful in 2021, and then he fell pretty hard. So I think that he like realizes all that, and that's why he says, like, he's like, guys, don't buy one, don't waste your money on watches. He's done all of it. He realized like, hey, none of that stuff actually gave me happiness, and in fact, it just like attracted a lot of negative attention. So yeah, I think that he's more back to like the black shirt Richard, and this, I think it just happens as you age too, and like it's been years and stuff like that. So I think that he's just more, he's becoming more down to earth, focusing on the products and stuff like that. Yeah, that makes total sense to me.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I've always said, even especially years ago, like he is like the Donald Trump of crypto, in the respect that half the people will not like you no matter what. So
yeah, for sure.
And once you have that reputation, it's hard to get rid of.
Yeah.
But I do think, if Trump were to come out, somehow, some way, and like ask for forgiveness for things that he's done or said or taken back things that he just never does, because he's just tunnel vision, and that's it. I do think he could pick up maybe a slow 10% of a better following, because people be like, okay, there really is like a soul or a heart in there somewhere, to where he's just not out to trigger us and talk smack and all that.
Yeah, I think like some people are afraid to like admit fault and stuff like that, and I think they're afraid of like sometimes it's really hard to appease people online, right? Like you make a legitimate mistake, like going back to like John Cena, right? Like John Cena was talking about on Joe Rogan that he learned Mandarin, okay, and he's going over there, he's speaking Mandarin to them, trying to get them excited for like professional wrestling, and that some Chinese like producer or whatever, somebody that was like getting him to show stuff, was having him read the teleprompter in Chinese and had him say Taiwan instead of like, I don't know what they call it, like Greater Islands of China. I have no idea what they actually call it, but but he was like, I knew the language, not the culture. So then he immediately apologized, and then everyone's like gets onto him for apologizing, but it's like, from his perspective, he's just like, I get it. We back Taiwan democratically. We appreciate their right to independence, but he didn't want to offend. Like he put 10 years into learning Mandarin to connect with these people, and then he offended them. So from that sense, he was trying to apologize, but like you can never apologize to like the mob, right? Like you piss people off, it's like you almost can't apologize, and like there's been a lot of evidence of that. So
you can't apologize to people who will never forgive, I think is the quote. And that's I read that, I guess, a few weeks ago or something like that, and I was like, man, that is the perfect way to put that for some people.
So I think like people want to see, like maybe Richard say some stuff like, oh, hey, I messed up, I did this, but it's like that might just make it worse. And so
I hear it.
I get both perspectives for sure.
Let's see, anything else community oriented before we get into your stuff? So I mean, we were talking ProveX, PulseX, PulseChain. I know you have plenty, more than most, experience with liquidity, providing. Obviously, like so, Hart's law exists, and whether some people like it or don't, we've had just a experimental discussion on this show. There's been discussion on X, but though I guess a very noticeable and bad thing about Hart's law that has been going around is like, okay, well, these huge sackers for PulseChain, PulseX, guys that have countless validators just dump at will, and then someone tries to pump the chain coins, the core coins, and it just gets sold right back down a lot through a PulseX for these giant bags. It's like, is there a way? And I think even Josh has been on the show to discuss, is Hart's law like a good or bad thing? Is it just to keep everything together, or should it just be like, okay, what should a Hart's law founder man look at this and be like, okay, these things are the ones that are likely dragging down the OG coins? Does it ever get scrapped? Like, if you were the founder, would you abandon Hart's law? Would you keep it there? Like, I'm very curious about your takes on it with the LP pairs and how the whole ecosystem's going.
I think I would, but like, yeah. So, going back, like there's been a lot of mistakes, and like I tried to like address some of those mistakes, like with my stuff, where like with Sparta and Panda, the people who sacrificed, like, so first of all, I kept it very small. I kept the projects like very, very small, to where there was a lot of people who wanted in that didn't get the sacrifice, right? And then for the first hour, you could only do a min or max, like amount. So that it basically, what that does is that helps distribution. When you do a volume bonus, it messes up distribution, because you have like a small group of people that are getting way, way, way too much, and it can override a lot of the smaller people. So it's better to like spread out distribution than to like concentrate it. And I think like we're seeing some problems with that now, but you know, every coin has whales, and like
Yeah.
what we said, that the top 2,000 Bitcoin wallets have 35% of the supply. That's a massive amount.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean,
yeah,
a lot of those haven't even touched
like been
those
lost.
coins,
Yeah, they've
or
been lost.
they're dead or lost
Yeah, they've been
or
lost.
whatever.
Yeah, that's just, you know, a lot of like hex wallets and pulse wallets will be lost too. It's just not
Yeah.
old enough yet, right?
Yeah.
You go to where people are switching multiple computers and like losing hardware wallets and all this kind of stuff. Like it can happen. People die, and you know,
Don't
so
leave. Yeah.
we're just not
Means to.
there yet. But like the goal should just be, you know, onboarding 1 million people that will put $500 in, $1,000 in, and then you don't have to worry about these bigger players. And it's like, hey, at least these bigger players are selling down here rather than, you know, and like if you look at like somebody like Rack, I mean, he sells like pretty much like, you know, the same amount just about every day. Um, it's I wouldn't say like he's the, you know, the thing that's like holding us back necessarily. I think it's just that the community needs to change the mindset and flip it. But it's not like when we were, you know, 10x higher than we are now, that it was like dumping, you know, super disproportionately. No, it was just like it's kind of the same thing. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, I guess, and the founder brings it more attention to it too, because it's like, oh, you know, check out, you know, somebody tried to pump the chain and you guys just can't get enough selling. So then everybody looks and it's like, oh, well, you know, it's this wallet, this wallet, this wallet. So it's,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, like, but if you really think about it, like last year, that wasn't Richard. That was just like alts were doing good and we went up. So I think it's good that he like shows like, hey, I'm here, hey, I care, you know, like
yeah,
I'm
definitely.
buying.
Like, I see what's going on. You know?
Yeah. And so to me that's all good. And I just think that we need the overall market to turn around more so than anything. And everything else will work itself out.
All right, touched on that. You mentioned a couple coins. I'm curious. We haven't gotten into a in-depth discussion aside from Big K and I saying that we really like Sparta.
Me too.
But this this is the first time we'll be talking about PandaX. But I think before we get
Mhm.
there, yeah, tell this audience, I guess, the history of Sparta. I like bringing it up because Hex is like the ultimate OG coin of this ecosystem.
Mhm.
I've always said, if there's a way to get more Hex, if that's what you're into, I'm all
Yeah.
about it. There are things out
Right.
there that do that. I really like the mentality / community of Sparta and the way that you've created the Telegram is
Mhm.
absolutely outstanding. It's like the memes are just, you know, never ending. Tell
Yeah, you can
me,
come in there and we even have a meme generator, you know, that's
yeah,
been paid for, and you can make your own memes in, you know, just by typing like /prompt
yep.
and you know, make your own memes in there. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I'm not like a total meme guy. I like core memes. You know,
Mhm.
get me down for some pump, get me down for some most. I mean, there's a couple
Yeah.
out there that I'm like, PTGC and the UFO stuff is pretty cool. I like what those guys did. But tell me about the origins of Sparta and how it was forged in fire and whatnot.
Yeah, so like you know, even back in the Legion days, we were, you know, like I had the idea to come up with a meme coin, and some of the guys didn't want to do a meme coin, but I had worked out like some game theory and all this kind of stuff, and it was different from like what Sparta ended up being, but it was just like, you know, I just like game theory, I just like, you know, crypto and stuff like that, so it was kind of like the natural progression, and yeah, so I wanted my own Telegram room, and so I'm thinking like, oh, you sacrifice, we do it to get into the Telegram room, and then, you know, we could do some coins. And so I didn't know, like I just knew I was going to do a coin, and I took some time to like really think about, you know, what I wanted, deflationary, hex based, you know, where it's like locking up hex and liquidity pools. It's deflationary while hex is inflationary. And then it was just working out like distribution and then the meme. And I was thinking back, I'm like, what's an old school meme, you know, and I was thinking back to like the YouTube days and like when the 300 movie came out, the Sparta meme, they had like a bunch of videos and everything like that. And so I was like, oh, let's go back to like one of the real old school memes. And yeah, we got a couple like full-time visual artists in on the project, and so they've, I mean, we have the most content of like any meme I've seen on any chain. It's pretty insane. But
100%.
yeah, and you know, I was hoping that that you know the that this alt cycle was going to do, you know, better, like Hex and everything was going to do a little bit better. So when we launched, it was kind of in the middle of the downtrend. Like we did bump up a little bit, but we never went to like, you know, the 3 cent or, you know, higher range that we had hit in the year before. So all in all, like I think it started with like 80 of us or something. I think there's like around 730-ish holders now, 750, something like that. We did 100x with like liquidity on launch, which is nuts, you know, because everyone had said like, oh, you know, sacrifices can't do that. They can't be, you know, you can't make money on them and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, if you do it small enough, if you make one small enough and then you focus on distribution, then yeah, you can. And so like I had told the guys, I said, hey, look, you know, if you know we're doing Sparta first, the next one's coming. And so those were the PandaX was done before even like Sparta was, but we did Sparta first. And so, you know, I basically told them, I said, hey, look, if you maliciously sell all this kind of stuff, it's going to affect your allocation like in PandaX. So now PandaX is going to be way more even rare than Sparta was. So so yeah, and so where I had come up with the idea for Panda being, you know, like a panda and everything like that, because there's so many memes that are like animals and all this kind of stuff. And so I was like,
that's one of my questions is like,
yeah,
all
it
right,
was
how do we have like a Spartan holding a cute baby panda? Like, where the heck did that come from?
It's just totally
But
random.
it's totally identifiable. Like that is, it's so funny. It like works. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly,
yeah.
And like some people like Franklin has, you know, made some like lore for it, like you know, Bao is like, you know, like basically the panda, and he's like, he grew up with doing kung fu and all this kind of stuff, so he's a warrior panda. He's just a little cute. But and then people are like, why X? And I'm like, well, you know, there was PulseX, and you know, I just like the idea of like, you know, who doesn't like X's,
Yeah.
right? That's, you know, that's the whole goal. So it's going to be essentially, so like if I think about like in a scenario where
Are we still talking Sparta?
well, we're talking kind of both.
Okay,
But like
because I want people to understand Sparta first, I guess. But
okay.
take
So
it through your natural progression to where you think more people would understand it.
Yeah. So Sparta is, you know, similar to PTGC, where it's like, you know, it's got it's more focused on cores. Like PTGC has a lot of like alts and stuff like that it's attached to. Where Sparta's more pretty much just the cores, and like maybe like there's like a couple alt pairs, but the most of the liquidity is with Hex. So it's like a Hex centered like index. Now, when you see days where there's actually like good volume on the chain, it does the same type of thing where the machines are the buying and burning, and it's deflating the supply. So like we saw that I think like a week ago when the volume was really high, like, you know, the bots, the ARB bots and stuff like that will arbitrage the price between the pairs, and you just get tons of buying and burning, reducing the supply and stuff like that. So the thought is that, you know, we're 730 people. If we get into a scenario where Hex is thriving, Hex is winning, and we're onboarding, you know, a lot of people to the chain, which I believe can happen in an altcoin mania, which I think, you know, will happen again when monetary policy gets loose and everything like that. Then you have a scenario where there's a lot of people coming and there's coins burnt, like even during this stream, there's coins being burnt. And so, you know, you get like a supply shock, a lot of people coming in. You know, if you think about it, like for us to double our holder count, it's only 750 people. It's literally nothing. So, you know, the long-term goal is that it's a way to go, you know, deflationary versus Hex. It's a way to go up. We've double bottomed against Hex. So the chart doesn't look that great, but it's, you know, it's mainly because we're primarily against
still tied to the ecosystem.
Yeah. So the Hart's Law things like pulling us down. On the flip side of that, I think that Hex is going to go much higher this cycle. And so just without, so when you take into account just like Hex going up, it's like, yeah, we could be, 5 to 10x higher, no problem. Now you add in, doubling the holder, tripling the holders. Look how many holders some of the coins have on our chain. They have 10,000, 15,000 holders. We get there, the ratios could go bazooka, like absolutely crazy. And then you take in the base amount of X's that Hex does, and it's like, okay, you've won from that standpoint. So that was kind of the logic behind that. And then just the Spartan idea, where it's like, we're a small community, just like Hex is a relatively small community in crypto. We never give up. We're always here,
building
positive.
an army in a sense.
Yeah, building an army. And and I try to keep toxicity out of the Spartan ecosystem and stuff like that. And so a lot of and it's crypto is very tribal, but people are always attacking other stuff, even on the same chain. It's like, guys, what are we doing? We all benefit by like if P Tiger goes up, like I think that's good for the chain. If it gets more people coming in, like that's awesome. Like why
people
do I
just
gotta
get
like
mad because it's not
because you're not buying my thing.
Yeah,
but that's just not who I am. I would love people to come in and join us and stuff, but yeah, I mean, I don't care if somebody buys $100 or $100,000. If you're coming and joining us, like that's kind of what it's about. It's just trying to keep the positivity vibes going on PulseChain. And I've been in crypto a long time, and I want to see it through. I want to make it successful for the long term. I think as long as Hex does well, we're going to have the ability to do that. And yeah, like I'm thinking about years in the future. I think a lot of people, like when they get into a coin or something like that, they're just thinking about right now, or
good 6 months.
When can I sell? Give it a few months. But like I'm thinking like very, very long term about this project. So yeah, and there's just a lot of options. I have a lot of ideas in my head for stuff to do in the future, and we're mostly just waiting for a better environment. And so like if you think about like Sparta's relation with Hex, then that's going to be essentially like PandaX's relation with Sparta. And so the pair at launch is just going to be PandaX and Sparta. And so it should be a pretty big burn event for Sparta, because to get into PandaX, you're going to have to sell your Sparta to buy PandaX, and that's going to burn a lot of Sparta. Now, when Sparta launched, we had 70, 80 people, okay, that like knew it was coming out, whatever. I didn't really like advertise, other than like when it launched, we posted, hey, this is live. We did 100x with liquidity, so now there's 750. So there's like about 10 times the amount of people that are holders and stuff in Sparta. And so what could PandaX do in that situation? I don't know, but I think that it'll probably end up being a net burn event for Sparta. And then if you think about the fees that will generate, 100% of the tax on the buy side is going to stakers in the LP. So you can take your PandaX with some Sparta, go in the PandaX Sparta LP, and then there's other, you could pair Hex, pair PulseX, make the liquidity web, and essentially get lock your coins up. I believe from like 1 week, and there's different intervals, up to a year, and you'll get like proportionally more each time that you lock up of the tax. And the tax can be very, very lucrative. So yeah, I think that it could be a really good way to, because a lot of people are worried about like impermanent loss and stuff, right? If you have impermanent loss, but then you're getting offset by getting a bunch of yield, you can use that to offset some of your impermanent loss and stuff like that. And so if the ecosystem does well in the long term, and we get like a lot of volume, like if we ever see what we saw like the first week of PulseChain, where it was like volume like crazy, stuff like PTGC, Sparta, yeah, it's going to do very, very well, because that's when it does best, is when they're like the prices of the different coins are going up like this, and our bots are going back and forth, and they're just paying paying the tax. And so burning, and on Sparta and PandaX, 100% of the sale tax just goes to the burn wallet. So it doesn't go anywhere. And the intention for PandaX is to be like extremely hands off. Whereas like Sparta was more so like managed like treasury wise, especially when we went up as much as we did, you know, like the treasury had to intervene, or it was going to be one of those situations where it was like, it's going to die and never come back. You know, I've been in crypto long enough to know like, okay, you got to step in here. But the intention for PandaX is to be very, very hands off. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the like lots of coins being burnt early on, and it be, you know, more in the hands of the holders and stuff.
Yeah, in regards to Sparta, you were talking about, you know, being hands-on in certain instances. I take that because I've listened to some of your spaces before you know, been coming back to Stream World, and you do, you know, cite Richard Hart and learning from him, and just not necessarily just him, but, you know, crypto in general, applying everything that you've learned to, you know, Sparta and potentially, you know, the rest of the ecosystem. So could you talk, like, I guess, how growing your knowledge in crypto has kind of like made you feel confident that, you know, hey, this, I'm really, you know, putting everything that I know into this thing, and, you know, perhaps, you know, it's something that a lot of other coins don't have.
That's 100% true. And I mean, it's sad because I've been around in crypto a lot, like a long time, and I've seen a lot of stuff happen to where I just have like pretty good intuition about things. Can I 100% control every little variable? Obviously not, but I can see things, you know, sometimes like, so I'll give you an example. Like I said that my brother-in-law is in crypto. He's an influencer on another chain. He had a meme coin. Okay. His meme coin was, you know, doing relatively well. He did have, you know, like some whales that got, and so this is the thing. And so he didn't see the whole thing where I saw about like the distribution. The early distribution of a coin can really determine its future. It can set it up like very good or set it up very bad.
Can I jump in real quick on this one? Just slightly off topic, but I think that's a misconception right now with ProveX, just because of like some polls that are out there, like the poll that got the #1 slot. People are like, oh, well, you have one guy that, you know, is taking over the #1 slot with millions and millions of dollars. But if you look at that pool, it's a bunch of OGs. Yes, like you said earlier, there's always going to be whales with coins, but there's a bunch of smaller little fish in there. So talking about distribution, this is being done way better than PulseX and PulseChain in my mind.
Oh yeah.
So
100%.
You know,
but in my opinion, the way to think about like ProveX is not to think about that those people are getting a bonus, because so many people are in that pool. That is just the base price. And then you think about the people who didn't stack in that pool are basically just like paying less or paying more for less tokens.
Yeah.
So I don't think that you should be thinking like, oh, they have a 3x bonus. It's like, no, that's that is the price of, that's the average price of ProveX, and these other people are paying higher for it. Like that in my head, that makes more sense.
But we're talking distribution. Sorry.
In PulseX and Pulse, it was the opposite. Because it was like one guy, or like, you know, Raccoon's pool, whatever, 20 guys or something like that, versus thousands, many thousands, tens of thousands of people. Whereas this is completely lopsided. This pool is most of the people, I believe, that are sacking, you know, like from an economic standpoint. And then it's like, you know, some other people that are like, oh, sacrifice $1,000 or $100,000, and they're not getting a multiplier. So they're really just paying higher versus what the average base price is. But yeah, getting back to like the situation with the brother-in-law, he had a token. He let some whales get like, you know, 10, 14% of it. Now this can do really well if those people are diamond handed. That's what can like let a coin go up 10,000x. But if those people are malicious, they can totally ruin you, right? So in my opinion, a lot of times it's better just try to avoid people having that amount of supply. I mean, you know, that's ideally better than, you know, trust me, bro. So the situation that he got into was that there was a foundation for this layer 1. Okay. And the foundation was like, hey, we're going to support your token. We're going to buy $300,000 worth of your token. Okay. And then this goes into another thing, that because there's a tax on Sparta and PandaX, like V3 is not, you know, like V3 doesn't work the same. Right. So his token's on a V3 DEX. So the foundation bought $300,000 worth. Okay. And he's like, he told me after the fact. I was like, I wish you would have called me, because I would have told you exactly what to do. But he said he was staying up all night. He's like, oh my God, they bought $300,000 worth. And he's like, so what do I do? Because now, the floor is, it's like right there. It's going to be like really, really hard to move price. So what the whale did was the whale looked and saw like, oh man, there's all this like buy liquidity right here. And so he dumped like all of it. And so now the price is lower and there's like essentially a $300,000 sell
wall
holding the price. And so the coin's done now. Like there's so whereas like the foundation thought like, hey, we're going to help, they ended up like completely screwing the coin. And so I told him, I said like, look, sometimes you have to do what you have to do. Like, because if you had taken that liquidity, then you could buy in the future, but at least like people are going to stay bullish. Now everybody's given up because they're like, oh, this whale got out, now there's a $300,000 sell wall, like we can never get through this. And so then everybody just kind of like gives up. And so that's where like experience and stuff like that can come into play. With Sparta's, like I was like, oh man, this is gonna be real bad if the treasury doesn't act. So but yeah, and then a lot of things were addressed with PandaX, as far as like docking some malicious sellers and stuff like that. So the supply on that's going to be even less. And then my thought process with like Sparta's like 100% of the buy tax goes to the treasury and 100% of the sell tax gets burned. So on PandaX, we're flipping the script. And so 100% of the buy tax goes to the stakers in the LP, of which, the treasury, there's no intention of it to stake, especially on launch. So that's all going to the user. So it's kind of like, flipping it up. And so, I kind of think that it's good to try different things. Cause like I initially was thinking like, that, people would rather have like more burn and all this kind of stuff than like get yield. But like from doing some research and stuff like that on what people in PTGC like and stuff like that, is like they like getting reflection. So I'm like, okay, well, let's just do one this way and one that way, and then we can see what people actually like, And so that's why we're doing PandaX a little bit differently than we did Sparta. But it's starting off. Oh, and by the way,
cooking.
These,
okay, go ahead.
I was just gonna say both of these are under, like they launched under sacrifice. So you when this launches, the best price that you'll be able to get is at launch. It's not from the sacrifice or anything like that. So the logic behind that is that if you launch at sacrifice or where the sacrifice people are in profit, there's no incentive for anybody to buy, right? And so when you launch low, it's like, oh man, maybe I sack 2,000, but I want 10,000. And so then they're like, and I can get even more coins now at a better price with that. And so then that leads to price discovery and how things can go up, kind of crazy. And I told guys before that at launch, I said, hey, this could 100x at launch. And it did. It hit like exactly that. So, yeah. And, launching here, some people are like, one of the guys asked me today, like, why are we launching here? And I'm like, look, there's two times that you can launch. You can launch when you think things are like near a bottom, or you can launch like when things are starting to get like frothy, right?
We are not frothy.
We're not frothy. And I just think that there's like, if you look, like there's posts every single day about honeypots and stuff on PulseChain.
Oh yeah.
People are launching so many pump tires tokens just launch, go to zero, launch, complete scam, dev rugs it and stuff like that. So to me, like launching here where there's some opportunity for people to get in to a coin that like, because even Sparta's like, we're sub 1,000 people. It's literally nothing, right? It's so tiny. It's such a tiny ecosystem. And so for them to be able to come in and like get some X's and, take it to Sparta or Hex or whatever they want to do, like that's a pretty cool thing to do around Christmas time when everybody's hurt. So you can get in and know that it's not, like the dev's not going to rug it. And, you can take a little Christmas gamble if you want.
Talk some numbers with me, I guess, first on Sparta? Like, what was just because people like the, some like the numbers game. So what was the supply? You talk about burns, like where are we at now with supply versus what was launched? I know there was a huge burn event. If you could go into that.
Yeah, the treasury burned like $4 million. How many tokens that was at the time, I'm not 100% sure. The supply is like 96% burned, something like that. The treasury holds roughly.
So it's not in
8
an
million.
OA wallet. It's like doesn't exist.
Oh yeah, it's burned. It's literally burned. It would be like I think we would be like 50 million market cap if it wasn't, if those tokens weren't burned, something like that. Around that 40, 50 million. There's I think something like around 8 million Sparta that's in the treasury wallet, of which I think like 5 million is probably going to go to the launch of PandaX and stuff like that for setting up initial liquidity and stuff. And and the treasury does like some things that we've bought like marketing stuff. There's been PulseFolio. We've supported PulseFolio a lot. We love that website. We do, we vote on there every day. We've won like the last like 3 or 4 months of of voting on there. So we've been getting like 10% of their revenue to buy and burn Sparta, which is pretty cool for being the top community on there.
I'm happy to contribute to that vote. It's
me too. I love it.
And you can multiple devices if you
exactly.
Know how to do things and stuff like that. So yeah.
And
that speaks to the community because you're doing that with such a small amount.
Way smaller than like a lot of other communities. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's crazy.
But it just shows that we have a really good solid base of people. We also did the meme generator thing. That's we got that for like a year. I believe like it's a bot in the chat. Essentially, you could like prompt it to be like, show me King Leonidas in a Ferrari throwing money out the roof, and it'll make the meme for you and stuff. So that's pretty cool. We have like bots that track the burns and everything like that live. So we paid for a year of that. We have like when you go on PulseFolio and you like click the search bar where the first thing you see, and it's we got a year of that. So that is the cool thing about having a treasury is like you can fund like little things like that that a lot of other coins they don't do, right? So, and where we're at with PandaX right now is they're doing audits. The website for PandaX is really, really, really nice. It's one of the nicer ones on PulseChain. Shout out to CryptoPunk for doing that. Like it's a beautiful website, and you'll be able to stake your LP tokens and everything on that. And it just looks really, really cool. So yeah, I'm excited for all that stuff. Even though, it's like even though the community's down and things are the way they are, like sometimes it's darkest before the dawn. And if you want to be in a place where people are actually positive and they're not like posting, in chats like all this wreck stuff all the time, then come to the Sparta Telegram because that people are actually positive in there, which is kind of rare right now. But yeah, it's because like I don't put up with it. It's like if you need to cry, go touch grass, whatever. But we're going to be positive and we're going to we want to be the change that we want to see, right?
Yep, I'm actually in that Telegram chat. I'll actually throw the link in here for those interested, but I can attest to that because there's no. It's a different Telegram chat compared to a lot of other ones that are out there. They're like absolutely
the vast
horrible.
Majority. The vast majority.
Gosh. There are there's a couple OG ones that I don't really hang out that much on Telegram. But the time that these grown men spend whining and complaining is absolutely hysterical. Like you could go out and be productive with your life.
Yeah, exactly.
We're just, crying and whining in these Telegram rooms and just like, man,
It's okay to let it out once in a while. I mean, everybody's human, but
yeah,
like, it's just like when you let it like permeate, everybody, because
and that's what it is. Right?
Yeah, because like, things are contagious, right? Like joy is contagious, like fear is contagious, and that's why
Just this
capitulation
negative
is
feedback loop.
yeah, it's like a dark cloud, over an ecosystem and stuff like that. So it's like we can still laugh, like and have fun. And now, I've been in the depression so many times, unfortunately, in crypto, and I've seen it turn around. Like I said last time, Hex did 10x in 77 days or something like that. So it can happen again, guys. So like, shouldn't we be like onboarding people, saying, hey, you got $100, like, throw it on here. Like if you turn into 1,000, awesome. Like that's what we should be doing instead of saying like, oh, we're wrecked, oh this, oh that.
More math stuff. Treasury, Sparta is, I think, not as known as it should be as the biggest hex treasury. Can you talk about that? Like how it came to be? Is it still growing? Like what function could this treasury have? I think last I heard was like what, 210 million hex or something crazy.
It's like it's 223.
Oh wow.
Now.
Okay.
222, 223, somewhere around that. Without giving expectations of profit and stuff like that. So the reason that it happened like that was that when we went up the 100x, we were like literally just sitting there, and I was like, oh, I know exactly what's about to happen. People are up like, there was people up like several like millions of dollars and stuff like that, and it just got way too lopsided. So
was this at launch?
Yeah, this was at launch, and so the interesting thing. Like an interesting thing happens where like sometimes like what you think is good in crypto is actually the opposite, right? So you would think that like a treasury selling its coin and like getting hex would be a bad thing, but the people know that like if like a couple whales sold, then that money is never ever coming back, right? There's zero chance of it ever coming back. So the chance that like it can fund stuff, it can fund marketing, it can, like fund other stuff is it gets people bullish. And so, I had said like, hey, the like there's gonna come a time where like the treasury is like probably, not gonna sell anymore. And so when it was more like heavily selling than it is right now, there was actually more people buying than there is right now. Okay. So that it's one of those things where like it doesn't make sense. And then you look at something like Firewhale, right? He buys 3 million and there's more dumping than ever before. There was not dumping until he started buying. Same thing with Richard, right? Richard buys, it dumps, and it I don't know if it has something to do with like the carrot on the stick is worth more, than actually like removing supply sometimes. But yeah, I think that things are so backwards in crypto, it just doesn't make sense. But I say that to say that like, I'm not the treasury is not going to be involved in PandaX. So if you want something to be like hands off and like let the market do what it's going to do, that's essentially going to be PandaX. It's not going to be the same like micromanaging that's going on that happened with Sparta. But yeah, I mean, hex price is down. Like you think about like what can happen when hex price goes up. What can happen? Like, so my thing was always like Richard. Like if I was in Richard's shoes, like, and when I got that ETH, I would have staked it, right? And then you have like in it, it's not exactly tied to PulseChain, but it like I saw someone post in a Telegram that like if Richard had staked that, we'd have like 19,000 ETH, so like $56 million right now that could come over, and he wouldn't have lost a single ETH. So I think about like treasury management, like from that kind of perspective, where it's like, if you can grow it to be bigger, take that asset, go into other assets, get yield, all that kind of stuff, then it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. More and more people talk about it. And then if you want to do like a buy here or there to support, to show that you're thinking about it, you're not going anywhere and stuff like that. That's what is really interesting to me, because like chains backed by real world assets is something that should have happened a long time ago. You know what I mean?
I guess the counter argument there from perhaps the mind of an RH would be, well, then you're going through a middleman. You're kind of like giving your coins to somebody else. And what if?
No, I mean, he can stake them himself because he staked like PulseChain and stuff in the launch of PulseChain. So it's not like he can't run validators. He's done it before. So
ETH?
Yeah, with ETH.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, you're meaning like with other real world assets and stuff like that.
Yeah, or just
yeah. But remember what we talked about earlier is that real world assets are literally coming to the blockchain. So you theoretically could still stay on the blockchain in a potentially decentralized manner. But I'm saying even like stable coins and stuff like that. Like what if he, when he was up $100 million, took 100 million and then got, I mean, there's different like yield. I mean, you can get 8% on some stable coins, like so I like to think about it long term. Like I'm trying to think about Sparta from like a very, very long term perspective where it's like essentially but while all the people that are holding right now maybe have sold, like how can we still keep growing? How can we get bigger and bigger and and do things like much longer term? And so I'm thinking from like that perspective. But yeah, I mean, it all kind of comes down to RH and Hex, the ecosystem. But I think that we have a very unique setup compared to all other coins on PulseChain, especially. That
I think the powers that back the RH ecosystem are the kind of, I mean, if you think about it, which I just did kind of, drew a straight line, are the same ones that back the Spartan ecosystem. You got community and treasury. And
some of the largest hex whales have been buying Sparta.
That was, I guess, a thing on my list is like you talked about whales before. Obviously, I guess you had some perhaps whales sell at launch, but there are like actual hex whales that are in the community and being good actors. I take it because
there's hex whales that have like much more hex than the treasury has, and they're buying. So
all right,
yeah, I just it shows that we're doing something.
Well, if they have a lot of hex, maybe they want more, or I don't. Maybe they just get it too.
Yeah, so. They get it. So so yeah, I mean, I'm a pretty big believer, and I think a lot of it is just that we have a saying that in medicine that like someone's not dead until they're warm and dead, and the meaning behind that is that like if somebody falls into like a cold lake or something and they're in cardiac arrest, they could be in cardiac arrest for quite a long time, because what happens is when you're cold, and it's the same reason that there's sometimes like medical induced hypothermia, it's to slow all the negative processes down, and it makes it easier to resuscitate somebody. Like somebody that was like under the water, like cold, is much easier to resuscitate than somebody that was like warm and dead. And so the saying,
random war story, just because I was talking to my brother and his great uncle, I forget which war it was, but long story short, got shot probably 18 times.
Wow.
In the snow. Might have been over in France actually. And they did not find him for I think 2 or 3 days. And they found him alive because his body was
slowed everything down. Slows his heart
everything down. And he made it, got the Purple Heart, and it was wild.
Crazy. Yeah, so it's things like that. But
it's real.
So yeah, it's real. And so from that perspective, it's like I would not call like, people are like, oh, ecosystem's dead. It's not dead till it's warm and dead. And warm and dead would be like the bullish backdrop, everything else is pumping. ETH is $20,000, $10,000,
and we're still here,
and we're still dead. Yeah. So that's the case when it's like, okay, you have to change your perspective. But right now,
I mean, I guess like to be fair, like we were saying this, be like, oh man, what if Bitcoin was like 100K? Where's Hex going to be? And so there's that perspective. Yeah,
there's that perspective, but like you
we've
have
had
to
a unique
Bitcoin is the king, and like it's not an altcoin, right? And it's
altcoins.
True.
We haven't had
Bitcoin.
move yet.
Right. So you have to look at it like from all, and that just comes down to risk, right? People feel more comfortable in Bitcoin, and they feel more comfortable in the S&P 500. And even like if you've seen like gold and silver have gone like absolutely gangbusters.
Crazy.
And so people are seeing those as less risky. So like when the risk comes onto the market, we're going to go up. Now, how high we go up, I don't know, and we'll have to see at that those points in time. But yeah, it's not right now. So
all-time highs, I guess, is the first target, and hopefully we don't pull a Bitcoin and like wick above and then come back down. But what do you think is like a good ETH number to be like, man, if we see ETH at this K, we should be looking pretty darn good?
I mean, I would say that if like ETH is 8 to 10K, we should have broken out of the downtrend that we've kind of been respecting
decisively
since launch. Yeah.
Instead of just like wicking up to like 5K or something and then coming back down.
Right.
A little bit more on PandaX. I think we covered pretty much everything in Sparta, but it hinted at launch. Is there any timing to said launch?
Well, it's one of those things when you're working with devs, but so some of the things that I want as many people to be able to participate as possible. So like we launched Sparta on a weekend. We're launching PandaX on a weekend because I don't want people to have to be at work and worry about any of that stuff. So it's most likely going to launch on the weekend. The devs have told me potentially before New Year's.
So that's soon.
So maybe maybe like the 27th or something like that. Maybe like right after Christmas. So we'll see. Once it's known, it'll be so join the Telegram, and it'll be known and everything like that. It's like I'll set the LP essentially, and then I'll have to like turn the tax on for Sparta, and then I'll add the majority of the LP, and then everybody can buy at that point.
In some spaces, you talked about like a ratio to where it's like, okay, it doesn't make sense to go from Sparta to PandaX.
You have to think about that, but at the same time, the ratio is going to start probably very, very low. So there's going to be, it should be, I'm trying to think offhand, but it should be able to go up like many X's before it kind of like doesn't make sense and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be a very good opportunity for people. It should launch very low in market cap, not so low that like you don't want things to launch at like 3,500 or 35K or something like that, because then so people can get too much of the supply, yada yada. But it's going to launch pretty well under sacrifice price, which was already pretty low. So yeah, it could be a big opportunity for people to make some money and stuff. And hey, it's going to burn, whether you're thinking long term, you stake your coins for a year and you're getting yield, or you're coming in for a quick flip, it's going to burn Sparta, it's going to burn PandaX. So we welcome you.
And speaking of Sparta, is that the only way to get PandaX?
Yeah, that is the only way, and after people because my thought process is that if it's anywhere close to like what Sparta did, there's going to be good yield for people staking, and so people start adding LP into the other pairs and stuff like that. As other pairs come about, then it might make more sense for you to buy through like a Pulse, a DAI, a Hex pair, because then you won't get that Sparta tax at the same time. But at launch, no, the only way through is Sparta. So like if you don't have Sparta, then you can't buy PandaX.
So
you have to.
The
if you try to buy
Panda, little bananas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
To start, or bamboo in this case.
Yeah.
So talking about staking, I think this is the last thing I want to talk about, or I have on my list, unless you have any other things. But for PandaX, is it going to be something like a PDG GC to where you go on the website, it's managed through the website, and you put your coins
we don't have
in.
a transfer. Yeah, we don't have a transfer tax because I'm just against that in general, because I think that people should
basically just send from a wallet to a wallet.
Yeah, you can do that, and that's essentially fine. The UI is essentially doing almost like a like a Master Chef, kind of the same as like PulseX or like 9inch, where you're taking like Sparta and PandaX, or PandaX and Hex, and then you get the LP token, and then you stake the LP token, and now you're getting PandaX in return from the tax. So like some other tokens, they'll give it to like holders as a reflection. They'll give it to single-sided stakers. But my thought process is that for a liquidity web, you want to reward the people actually assisting in the liquidity web. So 100% of that is going to go to those people.
Nice.
And it has a very, very nice UI and everything like that. So, when it launches, the site will be up and everything like that, and you can go on there and stake if you want.
So how soon, I mean, is the website launching when the coin launches in a sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So be like a simultaneous event. Okay.
Exactly. Yep.
Awesome. I think that's most of my questions. Is there anything I haven't brought up that you find important? I've tried to think of just about everything to help people understand the basis of it. My favorite angle of this is the Hex angle, just because it's like the OG coin. I love the marketing tie-in with it, the community aspect of it, because I think that's like a very key aspect of the entire premise.
Right.
And if people get that and actually, visit the Telegram room and just check out the memes and all the...
We're Hex fans.
Yes.
Like
100%. Like the logo over there. Yeah. That's what it's about. And if you
it's kind of like, even if you don't like it, you want to buy 100 Sparta or something and just be a part of the community where it's like, hey, we're all Hex guys and we're all...
You have a little skin in the game.
Have a little skin in the game.
I've done that before with some coins. Yeah. And it's just...
Yeah.
All right,
it's
you
just
find
it's
things
a good
that
place
stick.
to hang out. Yeah.
Last thing, anything after PandaX, or is like...
actually there is stuff, but whether it comes out this cycle or later, not 100% sure. Still brainstorming stuff. Even have like logos and stuff potentially ready. There's been like, I've had thoughts about like doing like an airdrop at some point to like Sparta PandaX holders, something like that. If we were going to do like if ever there was like a pump tires token, that's probably what would happen. It would be like some kind of airdrop to like at a certain point to people that are holding Sparta PandaX. As far as like stuff in the future, like thinking beyond the cycle and stuff like that, possibly. We have to see, like what all shakes out with this market cycle and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I love doing it. I love having a community, especially because I've been able to cultivate a community of positive people. Especially like, you have to really think like with how down everybody is.
If you can find positive people right now,
that's what I'm saying.
They're lifers, man. I think.
Yeah. So they give me a lot of energy and stuff like that, and I love the community. So.
Well, speaking of that, sometimes we wrap our show with a community shout out or two. Any good actors in the Hex PulseChain community you want to shout out before we wrap it up?
I feel like there's a lot. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of positive people, like somebody like Martin, who's he's gotten crap for some of his some things he said. I mean, he's one of the most positive people. The
storyteller on the X.
The storyteller, and he's very positive. He's
very. I'll throw like a little combative thing back in the challenge thing, back in that, but never like
And
because he's super smart. So
that's what
there's no reason to do that. he's great.
He's a very, very smart guy. Like I know him personally. I've met him personally, and he's a very, very smart guy. And he's a huge asset to the community.
Yes.
He's successful outside of crypto, and so having those people that are going to be positive when it's hardest to be positive. I think that matters a lot. And there's a lot of people in the community that are like that. Tam. I mean, even new people like the PulseChain Tiger guy, crypto guy. He seems he can be
entertaining to say the least.
Entertaining to say the least, but he's onboarding and stuff like that. And like I said,
he has ideas.
Agree.
That's a lot more than many other people have.
He has ideas, and yeah, like I said, it's easy to get caught up in the toxicity of it all. Like look, I learned a long time ago, if you're doing anything, people are going to come at you, people are going to hate you, all that kind of stuff. So the people who are putting themselves out there and getting hate, whether justified or not, I mean, it depends on the person, I guess, but they're putting themselves out there when a lot of other people are just like, staying in the shadows and complaining and commenting, and they're, trying to do stuff. So, it's not always the easiest to come on streams and do stuff when, everyone's so negative. So, and that's why, I've isolated myself with a group of people that's all positive. And, hey, we want more positive people. If you're a positive person in PulseChain, come join us. But, yeah, like because I know that stuff's infectious and stuff like that. So I tell my people all the time, I'm like, hey, go touch sand, go touch grass, like, do other stuff, like focus on other stuff, and focus on bettering your career, bettering your education, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it's good to crypto's a volatile place, and it's a rough jungle out there. So having people that are have your back, and you can joke with and cry with if you need to is a good thing. So, and I think that the best thing about PulseChain is our community.
100%. I always bring up like the live events back when we were thriving years ago. Traveling around to different cities, didn't matter where it was. I even did an event or two in the bear market, and it was nice to see some faces that still out there wanting to learn or network or whatever it is. But there's nothing like a bull market event or something close to a bull market event. So I've been to a couple of those.
Yeah, those are great. It'll happen again. It's just like the macro takes time, man. And I think like that should be the biggest lesson to people, is that like it takes a long time. Like the Fed doesn't care. They're just like, we'll cut and we'll cut again in 6 months, and like it takes time. And so if you
interest rates, liquidity, business cycle, like we haven't really hit the pedal to the metal yet, and to think that that's coming. It's a good backdrop. We'll see where we go. But
exactly.
Yeah. I'll shout out the Spartan community, since you did not, because you do it all the time anyway.
I do, yeah.
But yeah, just a fun Telegram to be in, and just positive memes, funny. Like that's if anything, we all need a laugh now and then. And some of them like put out that we were doing this show, and just pretty much within like less than an hour, like the memes that were generated and stuff like that, it's just absolutely hilarious. Like the stuff that I did, the thumbnail for the show, the GIFs I posted on X, all community generated. And that's what successful communities need, and 100%. I wish more communities did that, not just PulseChain, but all over the place. But maybe that's why we will succeed. So, and I can't wait for to see what happens if the hex does certain things. I have if we hit an all-time high in Sparta, I already have a celebration in mind, but we'll get there when we get there. And Spartans, man, this is your King Leonidas founder, man. First time on stream, I think. Spaces, yes, but
Spaces, but stream.
Clip it up, meme it up, meme me. I don't care, but that's
you don't have to tell them; they'll do it.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, I definitely, I believe, like I said, I believe in the long term success of like our ecosystem, and if Hex succeeds, we should 100% succeed, and so that's kind of what it comes down to. And yeah, like I'm not going anywhere, so yeah, I hope people join us.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 5-6 years. We're still here, and and still rooting for Hex.
Yep.
And wherever it is over there.
Yeah.
That's one of the main things it comes down to. And
yeah,
that's right. Hex, 100%. All right, amigo. Well, thank you for
good talking to you. Merry
picking
Christmas.
this show to come on. I'm quite interested. Where can people find more info about the pending PandaX launch in Telegram?
Yeah. Come to the Telegram.
Is that where it will be announced, or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be on Twitter and stuff too. We'll share it from the official Twitter. But like, if you want to know like the details, like come into the
And what's the official Twitter account for people that want to follow?
SPARTA Coin Pulse, I think that's
Pulse or PLS?
PLS. Yeah.
SPARTA Coin PLS. All right.
That's SPARTA Coin PLS. I think so.
All right. Look it up, verify, ask the Telegram chat to verify it if, just to make sure you're not following a spam account and some fake launch that somebody
I think if you click on Deck Screener, it has the Telegram and the Twitter and stuff like that. So you can just click that.
Okay. There you go. Sparta Deck Screener.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think that is it, amigo, unless you have anything else you can think of. Good to see the OGs in the chat.
Yeah. Happy holidays to everybody.
Susie, Panda, Franklin. I think I saw Maddie in here earlier. And can we expect you to be doing the rounds here in the coming?
Yeah, weeks? I told the community like, hey, set it up and I'll go on whatever.
So. Awesome. See the.
Well, so we'll see. We'll see if they set it up, then yeah.
They better set it up. I'll reach out and I'll help them set it up. All right.
Yeah, I'm down to go on whoever show.
Let's do it. All right. Thank you to Big K. Unfortunately, his last time was now in the final championship trivia tournament. Tendies took it home. If you missed that earlier, that opened the show. I believe this is the last happy hour of the year. I have one more scheduled show, but I just don't know when the reveal for that PulseChain product, official reveal, it's already out there, but when that occurs. So I am waiting on that founder. This is one stream that I was teasing everyone, and finally it happened. So thanks again, man. And
my pleasure.
We will see everybody. Stay tuned to the socials, Cabana Crypto on X. I'll tell you when the next show is, if it's before the end of this year, or if not, we'll certainly see you in January. With that said, cheers.